Good afternoon, beautiful people of Lagos, Nigeria, and wherever you might be listening to us from in the world. My name is Odoy Emmanuel, and welcome to today's edition of Tech Vibes. Yeah, we're live on our streaming platforms. Yeah, and of course, we're streaming from our Marina studio, and this is Lagoon Radio. Welcome to today's edition. Kindly follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, which is Lagoon Radio Nigeria, and for Instagram and Twitter, it's Lagoonradio.Ng. You can as well call into today's show. You can reach us via this number 08189524666. And I repeat again 08189524666. For more information, please go through. You can watch us live on our YouTube channel, which is Lagoon.TV. And for more news, when I mean news, you can go to our website, which is Lagoon.News. So today we're going to be looking at, in fact, something struck me this morning. About 3 days ago, I saw a video that went viral of a lady, of course, a Caucasian that found her way in somewhere around Lagos, Nigeria. And according to the news, they said she was hypnotized and by the so-called, boyfriend or a cybercrime expert who, I don't know how he did his magic, was able to hypnotize her, and she found out herself, So after like 2-3 days, she became conscious. And I was like, what the heck is happening? So this got me worried and it got me thinking. And the rate at which EFCC has been parading internet fraudsters or cybercrime syndicates or the so-called Yahoo boys, it's becoming alarming. And I think I have a problem with that because it's becoming like a norm in our country. It's becoming a culture between the youth. And today I decided to look at cybercrime, because it has become a serious. In fact, it's a global issue, so it's not just particular to Nigeria or peculiar to just our country alone. But because our own is quite unique, it's serious. We would get to it when we come back from this short commercial break. We'll be right back shortly. Yeah, welcome back to today's edition of Tech Vibes, and today we'll be talking about cybercrime. Please endeavor to follow us on all our social media platform on Instagram, which is Lagoon Radio Nigeria. Lagoon Radio NG. Then on Facebook is Lagoon Radio Nigeria. So over the week, like I rightly said, there's been this madness or the craze for lust in between the youths, and it has become a menace, something that has become a serious source of concern. The lust for material gains, the lust for vanity, in fact, lust for earthly pleasures, exotic cars, things that ideally you should properly work for. But the rate at which we have a high level of lust, like somebody will say, the lustful generation, or a growing generation of lost youth, because we value things that are not supposed to. It's like there's a misplaced priority in the way we think as a people in this country. Well, sometimes we don't really blame the youth for this, because I think we need to blame it on the politicians who have this get quick rich syndrome. They do everything humanly possible to get into, power. And once they are there, all they just do is amass wealth for themselves, looting public funds, then they come out and show off, and then, they start to share, their loot, to the same people they would have used that money to, do the right things, or maybe create good roads, build good schools, pay salaries. Rather than doing all those things, they rather pocket these monies. And at the end of the day, the aftermath effects, starts to tell on the people, the people they govern. So in fact, you don't even need to travel across Nigeria to see the generation of young people lost in the world of cyber crimes, and, ostensibly inspired by the likes of people like Osh Poppy and so many of them, Burberry and their likes, they are crow, you know. You will find them in many Nigerian cities. Anywhere you go to in Nigeria, you will find them. They are everywhere. In fact, if you in every news, in fact, almost in every daily news, two things you would hear. If you don't hear about kidnapping, you hear about cyber crimes. People who EFCC, most times they parade them on, either on all the media platforms, on a daily basis, and it's becoming alarming in all parts of the country. Before, we thought it was synonymous to maybe the western part or maybe the eastern part. Now you find people in Castena, in Zamfara, far corners, Kaduna, Benue, people, craving for material madness, if I may use that word. People, there's no value in an educational system anymore. Everybody just wants to be, and you find out that this thing is very peculiar to amongst the youth. Ages between 15, people, even right from the secondary school, you find out that kids don't longer, in fact, they no longer go to school anymore. So they just bribe their way through secondary school from as early as like maybe GS3, to SS1, SS2, SS3. Then most of them drop out of school because when they become rich, when they become exposed to, those ill-gotten wealth, the thing starts to, because imagine a child at 15, he already has like 50 million in his account. What do you expect that child to be doing? And the parents will not, maybe due to the high level of poverty in our country, people don't even question their children anymore where they get this monies. You see kids as young as 15, 16 to 20 flashing, driving flashy cars, and you begin to wonder what is wrong with us in this country. What is this madness amongst the youth? This craze, this drive for earthly pleasures, things that, because once they get exposed to these things, they start to do crazy things. They start to use illicit drugs, just to get high, to maintain. It's crazy. It's becoming a serious problem because after I saw that video of the lady, I think she gained consciousness after the whole thing, maybe the voodoo thing that they used on her, in a way to hypnotize her for her to just be, do whatever, they might instruct her to do. She flew all the way from California to Nigeria, and after like 2 3 days, she gained consciousness and she began to ask herself where is she, and thing became a serious gist. So imagine our country, being put on a bad, on a bad scale. Like anytime you okay, in fact, I was even seeing a video, I think it's a Nigerian video, and the white cops tried to stop the black guy, and the guy was like saying, okay, I'm from Nigeria, and they were like, okay, you're from that country where they send illicit mails, in fact, they has received a lot of mails telling him that, telling him that, no, that they have a lot of monies they want to pay into his account and stuff like that. And I felt very embarrassed. Like, wow, has Nigeria really gotten this bad? Like, outside the world there, is it that bad? Isn't like, can't we just have our own world? And funny enough, when we talk about cybercrime, it's not just Nigeria that is involved in cybercrime. There are so many countries. In fact, Nigeria is not even part of the first 10. There are so many countries who are grossly involved in these things. And aside from the fact that yes, we have a lot of Nigerians, who are involved in all the cyber crimes, some Nigerian companies too are affected by this, let me say, hacking or cyber criminals trying to steal their data, maybe card details or whatever. Mostly financial institutions, they try to bridge into their data and try to steal all their credentials, maybe card information of people, debit and credit card information of maybe people, and the even personal identity theft. They use people's profile, they sell them on the black web, dark web, and so it's not just peculiar to Nigeria alone. Even Nigerians as companies too, we suffer from this cyber attacks. So today I want to really talk about this because since it has become a menace, and we need to really understand what is cyber crime, and what are the motives, and what is really really driving these things. So basically, according to statistics, as of in 2022, the worldwide spending on cybersecurity is forecasted to reach like $133.7 billion globally. So which means this is a serious business for the security experts, and the business for the hackers or the cyber criminals who go and breach this data and use them for their own ulterior motives. So it's a whole lot. So this is really driving cost for businesses or for small businesses basically, because so normally if you're a web-based platform, maybe for instance you sell maybe like an e-commerce platform, it becomes a problem because you need to be talking about security. You need to be talking about how to secure your platforms from DOS attack, man in the middle attack and stuff like that. So because in the process of doing that, and especially if, like for instance, if you're a fintech startup, maybe you process card payments or transaction routes through your platform or your payment gateway platform, you need to start talking about a lot of compliance in terms of, like for instance, you need to do PCI DSS, a lot of compliance, and this thing costs money. So it will even increase the rise in cost of the services or the products that you're rendering, the service that you're rendering. So this increase the cost, and at the end of the day, it might not even be as effective. So this brings me to what is even this cybercrime that we're even talking about. What is it? And cybercrime is just a criminal activity that either targets or uses a computer, a computer network or a networked device. Basically, that's just what it is. So people who have this malicious mindset, they use a PC as a tool to be able to reach out. So, but most but not all, cybercrime is committed by cyber criminals, basically like hackers who want to make money basically online. So hackers are people who have maybe networking experience. They understand how to breach a network protocol, and of course they know how to write programs. So they know how to write malicious piece of softwares, like for instance you have the ransomware, you have the malware, you have all kinds of viruses, you have trojans. So these are different tools that people use to bypass, I'll call it a backdoor entrance into people's systems. It can be your personal computer, it can be a work, office-based computer, it can be a networked system. So imagine being able to send your ransomware through a commercial bank's network, which means you'll be able to breach their network, and you'll be able to have access to all their customers' card details. Not just card details, you have things like their internet banking login details, the online bank login details, which you can easily transfer money from the account to another account. So you can even render the person useless. So these are mediums at which they carry out the attacks. So while some cyber criminals, act as a loner, some are even well organized, like they have an institution where they come together as a group, as a group of, maybe group of hackers, group of Yahoo Yahoo boys, group of, so they come together, just for one particular aim, to make money from it, you know. So, and these things are carried out on individuals and or organizations. So, so the cybercrime itself is not aimed to damage the PCs, but in the process it can, because if you have viruses, um, embedded on different systems, these viruses can either destroy your operating system or flush out the system's memory, using something like buffer overflow and stuff like that. So there are so many methods at which they use to get into your systems, which make your system moribund or very redundant, and they will have access to it, and they can remote to it, and without pulling your credentials from your system. So there are different types of cyber crimes, different types. So the first on my list is email and internet fraud. This is very rampant, especially in Lagos here. Sorry, in Nigeria. Um, and funny enough, it's not just done in Nigeria alone. I must be frank. This thing is done globally. People do these things a lot. I see a lot of company, a lot of youths globally. It's not just synonymous to Nigeria. It's not just a Nigerian thing, but though it's more pronounced here, because as our boys over here, or our youth over here, like to live a very lavish life, and they want to showcase what they are not. They want to show that they are like they are they are there. Yeah, they want to wear the best clothes. They want to wear the best shoes. They want to live in best hotels. They want to sleep with best girls. They want to go to the club and burn like $1 million. So crazy things. They want to drive the best cars. They want to live a very flamboyant life. They want to, be in the best hotels in the world. They want to. So just crazy things. Without working hard for them. So the means they use is sending unsolicited emails to people. They just send mail. They send you crazy emails. Like I just gave an instance when I was, when I started the show, from the movie that I watched, and whereby people sent mails to people telling them that, claiming all sorts of rubbish that it's not existing, that they have um, so amount in one bank, and they need to transfer it, and at the end of the day they will tell you to maybe pay a fee, a certain amount, to be able to get access to the funds, and once you get committed, they begin to extort you. So that's one means. Another means is they get people's login details, your emails. Sometimes your emails can be compromised, because if they send you like a malware, like a Trojan or something, and maybe they send you a good image, something maybe like a nude pics, and you mistakenly click on those links on the pics, so they will there will be an invincible software that will be installed on your PC without your knowledge, unless you have a strong antivirus that can actually detect the software, the malicious software that is being installed on your PC. So if you're not smart enough to have maybe a strong antivirus on your PC, your system might be compromised. In fact, most 97% of personal systems are being compromised on a daily basis, because as the antivirus companies try to develop new strategies of getting those the softwares, those malicious softwares off every systems. The malicious guys on their own end too, they are kind of improving on their skills, on their skill set. So they are looking for every means, to be able to get across board to every system that they want to, they want to, scam, or the individuals that want to steal their identity for maybe personal reasons, or maybe for organizational reasons, maybe for the government or something. So email and internet fraud is very, very is one of the most is the most pronounced way of getting into people. So there's identity fraud too. This is usually done by sending, compromising people's systems by getting their information, and selling it on the dark web where people can use those information to and perpetrate fraud. Imagine stealing people's information in Nigeria and going to sell it on the dark web, and somebody uses that person's profile to go and maybe commit um, another cyber fraud in maybe Kenya uh, or somewhere in Johannesburg or somewhere, any part of the world, and the person will not, unknowing to him or that the person's profile has been used, to go and do something that is very malicious, and before you know it, Interpol will be on the trace of the person. Though once it's been investigated that the person is not involved, it can be pardoned because it's not, really, you that did the crime. But sometimes people don't really get away with that. So another way is theft of financial and or card payment data. This is very, very rampant. You see a lot of hackers hacking into commercial banks' websites where they steal people's information, especially their online banking, mobile banking access. They send these trojans or viruses to individuals. Even try to hack the bank's servers or the bank's network to be able to gain access into those bank details, and they begin either to sell them or use them for their own ulterior benefits. So there's theft and sale of corporate data, which is more, So even while we're complaining about the smaller chain, some companies actually buy these things from they actually do this to their competitors. So they get a very good hacker to hack into the competitors' uh, database to be able to see what they are doing. Maybe to steal maybe the R&D, their research and development, and governments to do this. They involve some of these smart app developers, or the hackers to build softwares to be able to spy on their populace, people who they deem to be maybe anti-government, and so they can either shut you down or shut down access, for that individual. So governments to actually sometimes pay the hackers to do these things, but nobody's gonna come out to tell you that this is what they have done. So that is why the market will always be it will always be in business, because everybody either use it for one or two reasons. So in as much as this thing is a continuous trade, we'll continue to see these things grow, and it has become a norm, globally, not just in Nigeria, because cybercrime is not just a thing of that originated from Nigeria. It actually is a global thing. In fact, on this chart from Bloomberg.com, it said 41% originating from China, which means, okay, now there's a chart here that says the list of top 10 hacking countries, and China is the number one on this list. They have over 41% of the world's attack traffic. So number two here is US, which has like 10%. Number three is Turkey, which has about 4.5%, 4.7%. Then I'm surprised to see Russia as number four. So then Taiwan, Brazil, we have Romania, you have India, you have Italy, you have Hungary. So Nigeria is not even on this list, and despite the fact that we have been tagged or labeled as a the country with the higher population of youths who are involved in fraudulent activities. But the truth is, the reverse is the case, because you have a lot of these guys in China, who do a lot of hacking. And what are they using those hacking tools to do? Is to breach people's information, breach people's data, and then either sell it or use it for their own ulterior motives. So while this, I want to narrow this down to Nigeria, because my major concern is how this thing has become a menace in our society, whereby people are so much engrossed in material, so much that's eating deep into us that we don't value education anymore. People just want to get rich quick. You see youths, in the ages of between 15 to 40, who are not even ready to do any other thing. All they just want is get a laptop. In fact, they are so happy. In fact, they have. In fact, there was a video that went viral sometimes last year where in Ogun State where they had a party for the best. They had a prize tag for the best hacker. The best, the richest Yahoo boy. In fact, very crazy. How would I say this is a misplaced priority? So, despite the fact that the government, through the through EFCC and ICPC, they've been trying to curb this menace, but in as much as they keep curbing it, they try to find a way to minimize or mitigate or reduce the influx of the youth into the cyber criminal world. It's still a very big problem because there are so many factors, that is really, really pushing this, and that is really making the youth, go into this heinous crimes. Firstly, is the high rate of poverty. Okay, let's even take the issue of this ASU strike. Just imagine how long these kids have been at home. They've been moribund. They've been redundant. They've imagined for like how many months now they've been at home doing nothing. So of course, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. You have given them room space rather than them being in classrooms, you know, receiving their lectures, from lectures back to their hostels, getting engaged. We decided to keep them at home. Then our politicians, not even the politicians, our AGF, Accountant General of the Federation, was found with over 90 billion naira. Just imagine what one man, that money would have done if that money was given to ASU to, to revamp the schools. And I don't think ASU is asking beyond, they are not asking out of what their demands are, it's not out of place. It's something that actually can be done. But because the government is paying, for me, they are paying lip service to it, and it's not on their priority list because most of their children, the politicians' kids, don't attend Nigerian universities, both the private and the public schools. They are not interested in it. I remembered when one senator raised that motion that every public office holder in Nigeria's children should not attend schools abroad, and they almost threw him out of the chamber. That's to show you how bad it is. So these are the devices, or these are the factors that sometimes give room space. I'm not making a case for criminals, and I condemn it in total, and I'm not in any way supporting it. But we're saying these are the vices or the things that because when kids are not doing anything and they don't have access to light, no good roads, nothing. The schools that their parents have managed to put them in, and at the end of the day, they're not in school. They become useless. Imagine them being at home for like 4 months, and they are not reading. So when they go back to school now, they will have to start writing exams. So that 4 months now, nothing is learnt. Nothing has been, assimilated in their brains. Nothing. They become redundant. So you are giving them room space to either go and do things that, girls might go into prostitution. The guys will start looking for means to, start looking for money so that when they go back to school, they'll be like the biggest boys on campus. They want to live large because they are following the footsteps of the politicians that they are seeing. You can imagine one of the political aspirants going to, I don't want to mention the name of the state, telling them that if they don't vote, they will not get paid. Just imagine such a statement. Does that not show you how it shows you what their values are. That shows you that they don't even care about us. They're not even interested in our well-being. They are not even interested in how to put the schools in the schools infrastructures in place, how to upgrade our dead facilities, how to even upgrade the professors and the lecturers on campus there. Giving them access to viable internet access where they can do research. Create that exchange programs with other universities. Which school will want to come and do an exchange program with Nigerian universities who are not even in session, or whose curriculum are outdated? Just imagine a graduate of computer science computer science or computer engineering student in Nigeria who can't even build the software. Is that not madness? That shows you how our curriculum is so outdated. So These are the things we need to, start to look inwards. Especially now that these are we're in the political season, so I don't want to go there yet. So these are just the vices. These are some of the things that trigger most of these things. So we have cyber extortion, where people demand money from people once they've maybe they threaten to maybe expose your credentials or your details, details or your data that they have access to. So it's like cyberbullying, cyber extortion. So once they have access to your information, so they can as well bully you into paying money. And if you refuse to do that, either they sell that thing to another person or they expose you. And so these are means at which they get money. Yeah, I talked about viruses and I talked about ransomware. Ransomware is a way, is another medium at which hackers, gain access to your systems. And once they have access to it, they're able to pull your information. And once they have access to your data, of course, they can do with it whatever they wish to, either sell it or threaten you, you know, into. There's what I heard. One that I heard they call it blackmail. So they can blackmail you into, paying them, a particular fee, and at the end of the day, they would. Sometimes how the ransomware works is it will encrypt your either your laptop or your desktop or whatever device that you're using. So until you pay them a certain amount of money, maybe in cryptocurrency, and they'll give you a wallet, a particular wallet, which you have to pay that money into. And once you pay that money, then they will now give you like a passcode at which you can use to, encrypt or no, decrypt your system so that you cannot gain full access back to your system. So imagine if you have maybe if you are a CFO of a company whereby the company's payroll, in fact, every information of the company is on your desktop or your laptop, and it has been hijacked by these hackers. Imagine what it's going to be like, So it's going to be hell, a lot of. So at least I was once opportune to see that I had a company that I was working with, and at some point these guys were able to compromise our entire backend. In fact, our cloud server, they had to. There was a way they encrypted this whole stuff that we couldn't have access um to our own app anymore. So they logged us out of our own system. So until we paid the demand of what they asked for, that was when they were able to give us access. And these things happen a whole lot, but it's just that it's not pronounced and people don't talk about it. A lot of companies in Nigeria don't talk about it. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen to them. A lot of companies in Nigeria pay ransoms to some of these cyber criminals. And about last week, we heard about there was a news about a guy that came from France with some other four guys that they were trying to hack into a bank, one of these banks in Nigeria, to breach their data, and in fact, they had plans to enter so many other banks, and so just imagine to what end is all those things. I didn't mean they gained access to those things and those things work. Okay, they were trying to liaise with one of or lure one of the IT guys in one of the banks, to be able to join their team so that he could give them access to, the network access to their platform so that they can, come in via the back door. Which the young man knew that that would be a costly mistake if he had done that. And I think he was the one that raised the alarm and those guys were caught. So that's to show you how far we are degenerating in this country. That's gotten that bad. So last on my list, I want to talk about this because this one is so. This is one of the how would I put it? This is one of the greatest tools that they use, and it's called online dating scam. People fall victim of this a lot, and this is not just peculiar to Nigeria alone. I saw on CNN, yeah, sometimes last month about a guy, an Israeli guy like that was involved in online dating scam. He goes to all these five-star hotels, he snaps all these flamboyant pictures and of himself and stuff like that. And he tries to profile his clients, if I may use that word, or his potential people that he's going to defraud, high profile people. He tries to, especially women. So he lives this, he portrays himself as this very flamboyant guy, that's very rich. And at the end of the day, he found out that guy was just a scammer. So this thing is not just peculiar to Nigeria alone. This thing, it is done globally, but it's just that it's more pronounced here in Nigeria. So online dating scam is one of the major ways at which people, actually gets duped. And most times it's women who are so desperate to get married or to look for love elsewhere aside from where they stay. So most times there are women who actually fall victims. And most of the women are usually maybe single parents, maybe single mom or single parents who just want to, try love once again. And most times they always fall victims of all these scammers who pretend to be, who pretend to be um, real time lovers, and at the end of the day, they are just there to milk you. And once they're able to get what they want from you, they will either dump you or even use it to go and perpetrate more scams. So this is part of the things that they do. So like I said, cyber crimes that targets computers mostly, they target them using things like viruses, malwares, and these things damage these devices. So not just so there are malwares for phones, there are malwares for desktops, laptops, palm tops, whatever, tablets. So these devices, or even smart TVs, any device at all, in as much as it connects to the internet, in as much as it's an electronic device, it can be hacked. People can hack into things like your air conditioners. They can hack into anything, your microwave ovens, in as much as they have chips or they have a board. So those things can actually be reprogrammed, to do malicious things. Especially this age and time that we everything is becoming IoT, Internet of Things. So once there's a connectivity and there's a virus, that is sent to either of those devices, it can actually control those things remotely and spy on you. You can do anything. So if you have a smart TV in your parlor and you're not too careful, because once you have access to the internet, you're already sending. They can be streaming you. They can even put on your camera on your TV and start recording you while you're there, not even knowing what is happening. Even they can record all your conversations. So, in as much as these technologies are very, very good and we encourage that people should use them, we have to be very, very careful. You have to be very security conscious. We need to understand that these days are age and time. In as much as you have beautiful devices, you have the iPhones, you have as sweet as they look or as beautiful as they might seem, they have their own dangers because your information, can be leaked. That's why I find out most people who just do, who have their personal information or their personal videos, which they just had for themselves, or maybe they send to their loved ones. Sometimes you see them on social media. How do people come about those things? It's because somebody can send you a malicious malicious virus or software, maybe as an image or as maybe a mail or something. So you have to be conscious of all those things. Two things, there are ways to mitigate these things. Have a very strong antivirus. Don't download things where, even from your loved ones or people who are close to you, sometimes their systems or their devices can be compromised. Like I said, when I was working somewhere before, how they were able to get access to some of the bigger, um, almost everybody in the company was, one person was compromised, and they used that person's compromised information to start to send the solicit and the unsolicited emails to every staff in the company. So that was how they were able to get access to everybody. So being that it's from maybe your boss, you'll be like, or maybe your colleague, or maybe your junior in the office, you'll be like, okay, since it's this guy that sent it, you might, the tendency, you have like 70% tendency of either clicking on the link since it's from your office, is emanating from your office, not knowing that somebody must have compromised that, or somebody has compromised those devices to be able to have access to you. So you have to be very, very careful of the kind of links. So a lot of companies do, try to mitigate these things by enforcing a lot of strict protocols especially in their networks. Some companies don't even allow you, bring your personal gadgets, or connect your personal gadgets to the company's network. It depends on how sensitive the kind of things they do. So most financial institutions don't even allow you bring in your phones to, or connect your external drives, to, or even your ports. Sometimes, most times they are blocked, so that you don't connect maybe USB, an external USB into your device. So where people can actually bring in malicious softwares into the platform. So most people, in a way to mitigate all these things, they are compliance. They are actually standards, from like PCI DSS and so many um, companies who try to put these things so that you'll be able to mitigate all this risk, to be able to reduce them. So most times, if you keep to those things, you find out that you have like 90% or 0% of no chance of you being hacked. So that's how these guys, actually gain access to our systems. So once these guys steal illegally, of course, it is illegal, intercepting or stealing your data. So what they just do is carry those data, they sell them on the dark web. So the dark web is just a platform, another part of the web in the internet that people sell illicit things like drugs, people's credit card information, a lot of bank logins, and so every kind of information that you want is always you can get it on the dark web. And I'm sure there are other platforms, all those hackers forums where you see a lot of people post a lot of things where they sell viruses. There's nothing you want to buy actually that you cannot get online. So sometimes, and for you to be able to get access to those kind of platforms, either someone invites you or so it's always because now they've become very very secretive, and because there's a lot of compliance and a lot of complaints, and Interpol generally is trying to track down some of these things so that it will be mitigated. Yes, a lot of people are falling victim of these things. A lot of companies are falling victims of phishing, of cyber espionage, and so many of that things like that people do, to gain access to their information, and they pay dearly for it. So if you're ever been hacked, if someone has ever stolen your profile or gain access to your systems, and maybe send you a Trojan or a ransomware, you understand what I'm trying to say. You know how it is, because they won't be demanding something less. They'll be demanding something that is outrageous, and you don't have any choice than to pay it, because if you don't pay it, you know what it means. Imagine them, maybe like for instance, it's a bank. Imagine like a commercial bank or a microfinance bank having imagine the hackers shutting you out for like 3 days. You don't have access to your back end. You don't have access to your customer information again. You don't even have access to those who are owing you, or those who are supposed to pay your debt, and all those debt profiling and all those things. I imagine you're out of your own system. So it means you're not in business now. So, and a lot of people suffer these things a lot, a whole lot. So there are different, like I said, there are different kind of mediums at which they use. First, I talked about phishing. Phishing campaign is just when they send unsolicited emails like spam mails or another form of communication, and are sent en mass. So they blast them. So these things are sent, like a bulk email. Sending bulk email is not a bad thing actually. Actually, people use it for internet marketing, but the other guys use it for their own malicious intentions, things tricking people to, thinking that maybe they have these those links are genuine. Meanwhile, they are just frauds, and they just want to gain access into your system, and you know get access to your own information and sell your information, or they will compromise your information and ask you to pay for it. There's DDoS attack. So this is a distributed denial of service attack. It's another type of attack, that cyber criminals use to bring down a system or a network. So this is done on Internet of Things. Like I said, we're in a world whereby things are being connected now. We have driverless cars, we have smart devices, we have smart TVs, we have things that are connected. So in the process of connecting all these things, the network is most times breached. And the way they breach this thing is using this denial of service attack, distributed denial of service attack. And these things are very, very, as much as there are so many antiviruses that try to those antivirus get hold of these viruses, the hackers keep, developing new strategies. They keep improving on the viruses. They keep using different tools to ensure that the virus gets through to the intended target. So there are ways at which we can protect ourselves because we've talked about these things. We've talked about how the hackers, gain access into our PCs to steal our information. It can be through phishing, it can be through denial of service attack, it can be through love scams, romance or online dating spam. They might be selling you different things. So there are ways at which you can mitigate this risk. First, you need to make sure that you constantly update your systems. So if you're using a Mac, make sure that, I don't know if Mac does updates. Yeah, you should be able to update your Mac. You should be able to update your Windows. Then if you're on Linux or any other Linux operating OS, you should be able to always update those things, because most times the owners or the people who build the platforms, they see these things and sometimes they create patches. So once those things are, maybe somebody reports that their system is being compromised, the owners of the platform, like for instance Windows, they have to trace those things, then see where those the loopholes are coming in. Then they will build a patch, to be able to patch that thing so that it won't occur again. So it comes as an update or as an upgrade. So sometimes you see that they will just inform you that, okay, there's an update. So it's good that you constantly update your system so that you don't fall victim of these things. Always update your systems. Secondly, make sure that your antivirus is properly installed and is up to date. People make this mistake of going to download or buy a cracked antivirus software. You are going to buy a cracked antivirus software and you want to install it on your system. You have already compromised yourself, because the person that cracked that antivirus software already knows how to manipulate your own system. So if they can crack the antivirus software, means there's no way they will always have access to your own system. So they will definitely embed a virus through that software. So if they can crack it, it means that your system is porous. It's going to, so once you install that, you are doomed for you are baked, you're toast already. So don't install cracked antivirus softwares. Make sure that you buy the original antivirus from the vendors itself, and make sure you update it, because the essence of the update is they build patches, and those patches are flaws they've seen initially. So flaws that people have used to compromise them. So they constantly build those patches. Once those information is sent to them, they will build an updated version of that either the operating system or the antivirus, which will help you mitigate hacking. Thirdly, don't download things. Don't open images from unknown sources. People just send you random things and you download them on your mobile device, on your desktop, on your laptops, or you go to a site like to all these torrent sites and you download movies, you download stuff, or you download different, mostly movies, because most people make such mistakes of downloading all those. Maybe you want to get the latest movie and you go to a site and you just go and download the movie. The movie you're downloading normally is supposed to be paid, and you go to the sites whereby people download it for free. Those videos are not for free. Immediately you download those videos, you have already downloaded a virus alongside, so without you knowing. So once you download those movies, those things will automatically come with those videos, and they will be installed on your systems, and so they can control your system, they can have access to your information without you even knowing. Most of us, 95% of us, have these viruses in our systems, but we don't know, because some of them can actually evade. They can actually overcome, or they can actually bypass the antivirus on our systems. So even the hackers, what they do is they test those viruses on all those. There's a platform like Total Virus where you can test a virus on multiple antivirus software. So if it passes those tests, then that's a good virus, which means it will work on any Windows application. So yeah, on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has listened to me today, and I want to say a big thank you to my producer Chimeze and Nosike. the man in charge of today's session. So I would say a very big thank you to everybody that's listening to me. You can still follow this conversation on our social media platform on Facebook, which is Lagoon Radio Nigeria, and for Instagram and Twitter, it's Lagoonradio.Ng. Please endeavor to follow us live on our YouTube channel, which is Lagoon.TV. And for more information, please visit our website, which is Lagoon.News. Till I meet you again, same time next week. Remain blessed and stay safe. Remember, get your PVC. If you've not gotten your PVC, make sure you go and register and get one. Your vote is your right. Don't sit on the bench. Don't sit on the fence. Make sure you get your PVC and let's vote the right people. Don't sell your votes. Don't sell your conscience. Vote the right person into power. Because if we get it right this time around, it means we're going to get our country is going to bounce back and I'm going to be in good shape. And on the same note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that's listened to me. So let me meet you again same time next week. Bye for now.